Okay, it's exactly 4 p.m. Welcome to week 5 of the Juliana Imam Intellectual Property and Creative Consult Intellectual Property course. It's week 5, and I'm hoping to see more mentees coming on the call. Today, we're looking at traditional knowledge, geographical indications, and a whole lot of other amazing topics for today. Under that, this is usually one class I look forward to a whole lot because sometimes it could be a lot, but when you grasp what is being said, it makes sense. Hello, Benedicta. Welcome to class today. Hello, Benedicta. Good afternoon. Welcome. Hello, Shay.
Hi, good
Good afternoon. How
afternoon.
are you doing?
So good to be very well. So good to be here once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry, it's already past
So
4, about 2 minutes past 4. I'm looking forward to seeing more mentees come on the call so we can quickly start off. Okay. Our mentors are already coming in, so we need to go on. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Goslav Kamalini, and I'll be your moderator for today. Welcome to the JIIPCC fourth quarter in the year 2024, week 5, class in the IP course. And today we're looking at TKs, GIs. Okay, yes. I think as the class progresses, we get to learn more of what those actually mean. So if you're not on this course, you're missing a whole lot. Do not forget that the next quarter will kick off in January 2024, and we already said registrations. We have amazing courses there. Ensure that you are registering for those courses. So I want to advise that if you have another course you want to go in for, you can also register for the next quarter. And if you think you have someone who you believe would benefit from this program as you have benefited as well, ensure to share the link with them, share the information on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. Just ensure that the word is being passed out and people are getting to know that JIIPCC is doing an amazing job. So welcome to class today. Do not forget as well that we have the 30 minutes one-on-one with your favorite mentor. We've had a series of amazing mentors on the course so far, and more amazing mentors to come through. Ensure that you take good advantage of that opportunity to speak with your favorite mentor for 30 minutes. Is a whole lot, and it makes so much sense. They get to know you better, you get to know them better, and it's simply amazing. One more time, my name is Goslav Kamalini, and it's really an honor to be here with us in today's class. So moving forward, I'll quickly want to introduce our mentors for today. We have some seasoned professionals to mentor us for today. Welcome to the call to the class, everyone. So I'll quickly read the bios of our mentors for today. Once I'm done with that, we'll get to hear from our mentors. They'll give us their intro statements on the topic for today. Then we hear from the groups representing or presenting rather. Please, group presenters and backup presenters, get ready because after the reading of the profiles and the welcome statements, or should I say the intro statements on the topics by our mentors, will be having your presentation. So first on the list, we have Eriobo Anyede Onyekachi Ngozi. She graduated with honors from Olabisi Onabanjo University, OOU, and was called to the Nigerian bar 14 years ago. She served with the Legal Aid Council's Osun State chapter, where she initiated and anchored a TV program on law awareness, You and the Law, by which she educated citizenry on their rights and how to access legal aid services in Nigeria. Through this initiative, among other works, the Osun State government Honors Award was bestowed on her. She worked briefly in the private sector as a company legal assistant in a media outfit, joined the Civil Service of Nigeria in 2014, and is currently a senior assistant registrar in the Commercial Law Department of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, where she is serving in various capacities, including as the secretary to the Board of Survey, FMITI. She is a beneficiary of the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO sponsored master's program, and just recently concluded the Harvard Copyright X program on scholarship. She is passionate about intellectual property and its growth in Nigeria, and serves in an IP-enabled and engineered civil service and Nigeria. She is currently one of the innovation think tanks and future leaders in the Federal Civil Service through the Innovation Challenge and the Leadership Enhancement and Development Programs, LEAD-P, of the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, through which she is deployed to make input in strategic government offices. She is a peace advocate and holds qualifications in peace and conflict studies from the Institute of Peace and Conflict Resolution and a master's from the National Open University of Nigeria. She's a member of the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators. As a peace advocate, and a passionate IP professional, she stupendiously combines both skills in creating awareness for startups and talented Nigerians on social media, in the legal space, and in government. The results have seen businesses avert infringing acts, collaborate and settle their disputes amicably and administratively. It has also earned her titles such as LEAD-P Future Leader, a Federal Civil Service Innovator, an African Peace Awardee 2021, and a nominee for the 2021 Esquire Under 40 Nigerian Legal Aids. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Onyekachi Ngozi as one of our mentors for today. Okay, so moving forward, our next mentor for today. Okay, we have Sand Mbakalo, has over 15 years experience implementing international development programs in geographical indications, that's GIs, international trade and investment, trade policy, research, policy reform, market access, monitoring and evaluation, capacity building, market linkages and value chains. Sand's experience is cross-cutting in a complex cultural environment, applying multi-dimensional techniques and the entrepreneurial capability to deliver results. He's the lead technical consultant on Africa Intellectual Property and Innovation, AfriPI project, and the EUIPO founded and funded program supporting the Nigerian government to create enabling environments to protect. Also leading the national research project funded by the French Development Agency to identify potential GI products in Nigeria. He's the current executive director of Africa International Trade and Commerce Research, an international trade firm for the African market. Over the years, Sand and his team have been working on promoting and creating awareness of GIs in Nigeria. Some of the projects on GIs that have been implemented include organizing the National Sustainable Development of Nigeria Geographical Indications, Stakeholder Engagement 2017, and the second edition of the Nigerian Geographical Indication Stakeholders Dialogue in 2018 with the theme, Making Nigerian GI Global, including the most recent event that jointly hosted a webinar series with World Intellectual Property Organization on the importance of geographical indications in the sustainable development of Nigeria and many others. Sand is currently a PhD student with the University of Cape Town, South Africa, and holds a master's degree in the Business and Management from the University of Portsmouth, UK, and a BA in International Trade from the University of Portsmouth, UK. Certificate in Trade Negotiations in an Era of Uncertainty from European University Institute, Italy, and many other professional capacity development certificates from WTO, UNTAD, and many other reputable institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Sand Mbakalo. Welcome, sir. Up next, as well as a moderator for today, we have the incredible Linek Keller. I hope I got that correctly. Ihuhua. Okay. Linek Keller Ihuhua is a senior lecturer of the University of Namibia's School of Law. She teaches the law of intellectual property and the law of dialect. She is a holder of a PhD in the area of intellectual property law at the University of Cape Town. She also holds a Master of Laws obtained from the University of Stellenbosch in South Africa. Her research interests lie in private and commercial law, with a keen interest in intellectual property law specifically, as well as commercial law and development. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Lenikile Ihuhua. Those are our mentors for today. So it's going to be an amazing session. So quickly, we're going to move forward to our mentors' opening statement. And then we'll hear from our mentees after the opening statements. Please, mentees, I really want to implore us that throughout the session, let's ensure that we're commenting on the chat box to let our mentors know we're understanding them and we're flowing with them. If your mics and your cameras cannot be on throughout, please ensure that you are chatting in the chat box. Let's see you engage with our mentors throughout the session. Okay, so to start us off, we have the amazing Ihuhua to give us an opening statement on the topic for today. Thank you very much. Welcome to the call, Ihuhua. It's an amazing honor having you. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you. So I think I'll restrict my comments to geographical indications. Essentially, GIs are not a new thing. For the longest time, I think as far as biblical times, there would be countries that have a specific edge when it comes to creating certain products, and they would trade with these products to other countries, and they would often leave markings to indicate that this specific product is from this specific region, and it is because of its origin that it then has a comparative advantage to other goods in the same market. So I think presently there are quite a few countries in Africa that have GI specific laws, then which we term as sui generis, and then there are a few others that essentially employ consumer protection laws, trademark laws through certification and collective marks to protect geographical indications, and then labeling schemes as well. So there is also a GI strategy in Africa at the moment that I think it's coming to an end soon, but there's general recognition on the African continent that African countries have specific methods and quality ties within specific regions that enable them to create products that could be used, if marketed properly, to advance the interest of communities. So yes, we want to be innovative. We want to create patents and patentable products, and we do a lot of copyrightable products. But I think an area that has been neglected in most African countries is that of geographical indications when it comes to intellectual property. And so I do believe that the environment and the climate and the know-how of people within the African continent can actually be used to leverage comparative trade markets. And so I think when I was doing my thesis, I tried to actually make a comparison between sui generis forms of protection with GI as compared to the use of trademarks through certification and collective marks to protect GIs. And it is essentially aimed at assessing which of these approaches is better. But when it comes down to the bottom of it, it is essentially both of them serve the same purpose. They serve to identify these goods and protect them from use by third parties. And I think if a country is able to enforce whichever mode of protection that it has assigned to geographical indications and put in place a proper strategy for marketing and identification of GI goods and so forth, I think that that country will be able to leverage the value of GIs and actually use it for the benefit of the communities that specifically reside within that area that the product is created, and overall for the benefit of the whole country. So I look forward to the presentation on GIs. With regards to plant varieties, my country at the moment also does not have much in place for the protection of plant varieties. So yes, we have UPOV, but we need to start moving away from the focusing on the international conventions that we've acceded to and actually putting in place domestic measures aimed at promoting some of these rights. And specifically because it's very, very difficult to enforce a breach or an infringement of a right that is protected in terms of an international agreement. There's always a need to have some form of domestic instrument that can then facilitate that process. So I also look forward to hearing the presentation on that. But what I can say at this moment is that I'm quite passionate about intellectual property, and I would like to do my utmost best to contribute to that area of law specifically, because I come from a legal background. So yes, thank you for the opportunity to hear the presentations, and that is all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful insight and wonderful intro. We're looking forward to also learning so much from you. So before we hear from the mentees, I just want you to do me a favor. Can you help me pronounce the name so that I do not mess it up again?
Linekela.
Okay, I got that one. Okay.
Yes. Yes. The surname is Ihuhua.
I think I'm Zambian at this point, or I'm Namibian at this point.
Yes, no, I think all Bantu are able to pronounce names that are tied to that, but it's fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nicola Ihua. It's really an honor having you on board today's class. Okay, we're trying to get our other mentors to join the course. While we wait for that, I want to quickly move over to the mentees. Mentees, do not forget our agreement for today. When a mentor speaks, ensure you flood the chat box with some words. Let them know you're listening. Let them know you're engaging. Let them know you're on this call. So mentees, I'm not seeing no message in the chat box. I can agree that your mics need to be muted. Probably your cameras might not come on, but the chat box you can type. So please go onto the chat box and let our mentors know that we have mentees on this call. A lot has been said so far by our mentor on TKs and GIs. I think I want to see us give some feedback on that. So while we're doing that, I would love to welcome the presenter for Group 1 to please take over for their presentation. Group one presenter, please. And where we don't have for group one, please, the backup presenter, get ready to take over. So who is presenting for group one, please? Group two, also get ready, because where group one is not ready to take over, group two will take over immediately. Group one presenter, who is the backup, please?
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, Ayomide. Good day. Are you the presenter for group one?
I'm the backup presenter.
Okay, thank you very much for stepping up to the occasion. Welcome, and please, the floor is yours for your presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name
Thank you.
is
You have about 10 minutes.
Bolao. I'm trying to share my screen now. Sorry. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, please, we can see your screen.
Thank you. Okay, so the topic for this week is traditional knowledge, geographical indication. I will just go ahead to present the topic. So we started by introducing everyone to what is traditional knowledge related to IT, and we have that traditional knowledge is a knowledge practice and cultural expression passed down through generation within communities, encompassing diverse fields and living products collectively owned but historically unprotected, now safeguarded under intellectual property rights, with challenges in defining the appropriate protection, primarily addressing geopolitical issues. Sorry. Okay, so further we talked about protection from traditional knowledge, and we say that in the realm of IP rights, traditional knowledge is more like a protection involving two methods, that we have positive protection, that is guaranteeing rights to knowledge holders for remedies against misuse, and defensive mechanism safeguarding against illegitimate acquisition of intellectual properties by third parties. So if you protect your rights, it will safeguard you from people having illegitimate acquisition of your IP rights. Then I can see the stage. We went further to talk about legal framework in Nigeria concerning um, traditional intellectual property protection. And we said this includes the Nigerian Copyright Act. We have also the Trademark Act. All these laws, they safeguard various traditional knowledge. Safeguard all these also, we went further to say Nigeria is also a member of some international agreements, including Vienna Convention, World Intellectual Property Organization, Treaty, Nigerian Copyright Act. It covers the traditional expression of the folklore, preserving cultural heritage. Also, the Trademark Act now said, of course, I also believe we know that it protects symbols, as the name implies. Trademark is effective to protect your name, your slogan, and of course, all these things are linked to traditional crafts. And also, we also talked about benefits of protecting traditional knowledge. Said one, it is essential because preserving it and respecting the innovation and practices of indigenous communities. So this protection prevents misappropriation, unauthorized use, and protect potential intellectual property framed by property. It also regulates knowledge usage outside traditional context, encourages just benefit sharing, and fosters innovation rooted in tradition. Ultimately, safeguarding traditional knowledge remains a vibrant public domain, ensures mutual benefit for user and both for others and both the user, and it also promotes the sustainable use of biological resources in line with tradition. We have two case study which we talked about. We have the case of the NEMS tree case. This illustrates the issue of the traditional knowledge in IP. We talked about the company that we have the WR Grace, that's the US company, which patented the next tree. This particular tree works with what's called fungal control in India. Then we got to know that the Indian government challenged the patent, saying next long standing the the this case led to efforts to incorporate such protection in international agreements like the Nagoya Protocol, stressing the importance of respecting and benefiting communities that have preserved traditional knowledge for generations. Same goes to the rosy periwinkle plant. This is native to Madagascar and used in traditional medicine. It became a focal point in patent disputes when researchers from US and France discovered its anti-cancer properties in 1950. This case raised to the issue of prosperity, where biological resources are taken from developing countries without acknowledging traditional knowledge or compensating the actual user who created the plant. So this sparkled this debate about the equitable distribution of the benefit of that thing of such plant. Ultimately, negotiation resolved the case, underscoring the complex relationship between traditional knowledge and intellectual property. We also talked about the second part of the topic, which is geographical induction indication. GI are labels that indicate a product origin and its unique qualities tied to that specific place, as defined by the European Union. GIs protect and promote region-specific products ranging from food and wine to crafts and industrial goods. To qualify for GI protection, the product must have a strong connection to its place of origin, and its production method must be influenced by that location. Legal frameworks and intellectual property rights safeguard GI, preventing unauthorized use. We also talked about the legal framework for GI in Nigeria. We said Nigeria currently lacks this any specific legislation on GI. However, the Trademark Act of 1965 offers some protection for GIs if their origins, quality, or manufacturing method can be proven. There is a need for dedicated GI legislation in Nigeria due to the country's rich varieties of geographically distinct products known for their quality and unique characteristics. We also talked about the absence of GI laws which have prevented Nigeria from benefiting from international protection under agreements like the Paris Convention and the Geneva Acts of Lisbon Agreement. We mentioned the case scenario there. In 2021, a technical working group was formed to draft a GI bill tailored to Nigerian context, but there has been delays in its submission to the National Assembly. One unresolved issue is that whether the federal high court or state high court will have the jurisdiction in GI's matters, though it can potentially be resolved using existing constitutional protection. that'll be the end of our presentation. Thank you very much again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ayomide, for that
Thank
fantastic
you all for
presentation. A good job there by your team members. I think I will need to advise our next presenters to ensure that their volumes are loud enough so we can clearly hear what they are saying. Well, again, thank you so much for that presentation. Before we go into the next group, while this thing was ongoing, the presentation was ongoing, our next, one of our mentors for today also joined the call. And I'll be welcoming her to give us her opening statements on the topic for today. And after the next mentee does their own presentation, we'll be getting the full overhauling of everything. So I want to welcome the beautiful Kachi Ziani. Welcome, ma'am, to the call today. It's nice having you with
My
us.
name is Kachi Eriabo Aniede. I don't know where you saw Ziani, but my name is Eriabo Aniede. Okay. All right. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you.
So from my end, first thing, let me mention that my what's it called, bio hasn't been updated. So you can check out my bio on my LinkedIn page. A lot has happened to me the last 3-4 years since you've had that my profile. All right, so moving on to today's topic is an interesting topic. It's one that is really interesting and one of the areas of my interest, current interest right now in IP. So you find that a lot has happened in the IP industry and a lot is still happening because IP is naturally evolving. So for me, what I would just say so that we'll keep on with the presentation. IP is broadly divided into two. IP rights, I mean to say, you have personal rights and you have communal rights. So the various topics we'll be dealing with today seem to tilt more to communal rights of intellectual property. What are communal rights of intellectual property? These are rights that are not owned by one person, but by a group of people who are from a particular location, like a village, a community. That's what I mean to say. So I want you to think through all the lessons you've been through during this program. What have you learned about intellectual property rights? Begin to think in your mind, can the same then apply to those communal intellectual property rights? By now, you are used to the fact that an IP right belongs solely to the owner of the rights, to the exclusion of every other person. And then without consent or payment of royalty or a license agreement, you are not permitted to use, to sell it, or to even import or export such a product. So having said that, then what happens when the right belongs to a community? Who is going to claim ownership to that right? Who is going to exploit those rights? So talking about communal rights, we have traditional knowledge, traditional cultural expression, geographical indication, and then we also have genetic resources. In the case of genetic resources, it seems it tilts more to personal rights because of maybe factors like plant variety, human, genes and what have you. But aside genetic resources, every other category of IP listed there, they then fall under communal intellectual property rights. So during my presentation, I'm going to take our time to talk us through some of these things which may look foreign to us or we haven't heard. I also read through some of your presentation and also noticed, by the way, they were wonderful. I loved the slides. I love the way you expressed your ideas. So kudos to all the team members. However, I also noticed that in some cases, there was a little bit of confusion as to what geographic indication does. I saw where it's written that maybe, for instance, as a source, it indicates the source where a good is coming from. So you get more clarity on that. I also saw things like Nigeria doesn't have protection for plant variety and so many other stuffs like that. So when we go into the main presentation, I'll be able to enlighten you more on that. Thank you for having me. Do have a wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. It's really an honor having you. Thanks for that correction as well. That was really prompt. Thank you for joining us. Mentees, do not forget the chat box is looking quite empty at the moment. Let's get those comments rolling in. Okay. Also, while the first presenter was going on for the groups, we also have all of our mentors joined the call as well. That's talking about Mrs. Sand. Hello, Mr. Kali. Welcome to the call today. Welcome to today's session. So I will hand it over to you to give us your opening statements on the topic for today. Welcome, Mrs. Sand Bakalu. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Sincere apology for joining the call late. I have 2 time zones that I'm working on. Apparently, the one that matters to me, I've not readjusted it, and that was what happened. And I joined it. My sincere apology. I got in and overheard the group that presented on traditional knowledge, geographical indication, their presentation, and I feel genetic. That is the group 5. I don't know the group number anyway, but I think that was the group I overheard. I don't know if any other group I've presented. I think when it comes to geographical indication, most times it's also interconnected, just like the last speaker said. These are group intellectual property. This is intellectual property that is owned by group. Generally, intellectual property is considered as a private right, and that is most time business related, and individuals are allowed to either protect holistically their rights, as well as seek for redress when an infringement on that right is established. But in my view, I feel intellectual property itself, because I work mostly on the trade ecosystem, and the aspect of intellectual property I work on that I've been advocating for over the years is geographical indication, which is communally owned. However, I think intellectual property, and when it comes to trade, international trade is based on intellectual property. And because that is where people earn from. So it's beyond an individual and a private right. Nations go to war, be it virtual war, physical war, or imaginary war, when it comes to trade, because there is an infringement on someone's intellectual property right, which in the first instance is a business interest right. But a country takes it up because when an intellectual property is infringed upon, it has a ripple effect. Those ripple effects is there will be job loss, there will be revenue loss, there will be income loss, there will be livelihood distorted. So most times nations consider those social vis-a-vis economic interests and want to protect what in the first instance was a private right. And for Africa, and to be specific, Nigeria, our government or our business support institutions have not come to appreciate that intellectual property is everything about business. And if one is down, everything is affected. What I mean is that if an intellectual property is infringed upon, even while it's private, it affects every other person, because it's like a chain, it has a ripple chain effect. So while we talk today, while we talk about creative invention, registration of intellectual property, business, sports, we should think about it not as an individual right, but as a private right, as a communal right. Why we think that individuals benefit most from it, say for example, Coca-Cola, which is a known brand, but if Coca-Cola right is infringed upon, it affects the people they employ. It affects the tax they pay to government. So there will be also that revenue shift, which most time people don't want to, most developed countries don't want to allow. That's why they go to war. That's why Trumpism is a phenomenon that came up during Trump's era, saying we're going to protect America first. What he's saying America first is that American intellectual property first. We have to protect every American business have intellectual property so that China will not infringe upon it, so that the job remains in in America. So if Nigeria say Nigeria first, what Nigeria should be saying in the real sense is that Nigeria intellectual property owners first. We must protect their interests, but we've not come to that. So let me go back to GI. GI is our community that owns it. However, for the community to take ownership and benefit from that intellectual property from GI, they must be organized. They must be organized to have a specific standard that they stick to. So I overheard the presenter talking about Geneva Art, the Lisbon Treaty. These are multilateral systems that have been put in place internationally to protect geographical indication, intellectual property, which is an aspect, geographical, which is an aspect international, but owned by a community, owned by a group of people that develop a specification code or a standard to adhere to. But because we have not, we refer to this international because we have not been able to deal with domestic regulation to protect it. And we are losing every day. We're losing revenue, we're losing jobs, our heritage being lost every day because geographical indication has not been protected. We don't have a system in place to domesticate it and protect it. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we might end up having a minister tomorrow from this lot. We might end up having a senior advocate from this lot. Even why I think I might be wrong that everybody is not a lawyer in this space. I'm not a lawyer. In this space that are going through this program, but I believe that you're on the right course. What you are doing today, you will see the benefit tomorrow, but you must persevere because it's not an easy road. You must expose yourself to learning. You must expose yourself to discipline. And as well, you must also learn from those that has gone before you, from their mistakes, so you'll be able to adhere, so that you don't go for the same path they follow. Because for Africa, you see the data that released every year. Africa is still behind. Why are we behind in terms of filing, registration? Because we ourselves, we've never even practicalized what we have. So if I ask us, how many of us have even made an attempt to even register maybe our business name or a name as an asset of intellectual property? None of us have, or just a few of us. But we must start from there. So that when we advise people do A, we must have done B, so that it encourages others to do it. And we ourselves will see the benefit and we also learn from where the challenges are. Maybe just to register a trademark name, you see how much it costs to register it and the process, how long it takes. So when you advocate for a change in system, a reform, you are saying from my experience, it took me 1 year to register a business name, or just a business name, or to register my trademark. Then oh, my village has this process. They even bring it together to agree on something. They've not been able to agree. So you'll be able to speak from that practical perspective. I don't want to take much of our time. I want to learn as well, because we're all learners. When we stop learning, we die. So I also want to learn from what you are going to be presenting and also ask questions and make my input from my little experience that I have. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I just like your name. Is that your real name? Goslov Kamalu. Is that your name or just Kamalu is your name? If that's your full name, then that's a fantastic name. I hand over to you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you a whole lot. I really enjoyed that insight. Thank you for joining us as well. We're all looking forward to the time where we'll be going in between 2 time zones. So fingers crossed for that. Welcome again, sir. Okay, we've heard from our mentors for today. Mentees will go into group 2 to get their presentation, and then we'll come back to our mentors to give their feedbacks on both presentations, as well as give us more in-depth on traditional knowledge, geographical indications, genetic resources, cultural diversity, and a whole lot of them. Okay, so group 2 presenter, are you ready to wow us?
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, everybody.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being so prompt. Okay, the floor is yours. Please go with your presentation.
All right, so due to some issues, my group leader will be presenting on screen. So I will wait for her to present the screen before I start. Please share the slide.
I'm coming. I'm doing that now. Can you also my screen now?
No, not really. I can't see it yet.
No, we can't.
Okay.
Hello, is it just me or others can't hear?
I think she's trying to share the slides.
Okay, so while
Can
she's
I
trying to
start?
share the slide, can you just comment with something so we
All
don't
right,
wait?
okay.
Just comment, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going
Welcome.
to start. I'm going to start with this quote by Martha Stewart, and it says, "If you learn something new every day, you can teach something new every day." My name is Fasusite Nulwa, and I'll be presenting for Group 2 today. When I got the topic genetic resources and plant variety, what came to my head was, how is this even related to IP? How is this even related to anything copyright? Or because I wasn't well versed in the knowledge of, oh, genetic resources and plant variety can actually be protected by intellectual property. And today I'm just going to give an insight on how and it's important. So I think she's still trying to project the screen, but I'm going to start. So it is important to note that genetic resources and related life science innovations and information, they cut across all branches of intellectual property law and practice, including patents, trade secrets, copyrights, technological protection measures, and as well as other branches of the law. The IP issues associated with these genetic resources need to be addressed in a customized and cost-cutting practical manner. Just like I said, I genuinely did not know that there was anything copyright or anything trade secret patent related to genetic resources and plant variety. But today, as a result of this internship, I'm able to know that there's something like this, and I would like to explain it further. So what are genetic resources? Genetic resources are genetic materials of potential values. Genetic material, because you can't just say, oh, this particular, oh, because they have an element of genetics in them, they can just be automatically classified as genetic resources. They have to be genetic materials of actual potential value, and they have to be genetic material that, okay, materials of plants, animals, microbacteria, or any other origin containing functional units of heredity. Then we have types of genetic resources. We have microorganisms, we have animal breeds, we have traits, we have molecular events, we have plasmid, we have nucleotide and amino acid sequence information. All right, so we move on to the uses of genetic resources. What exactly is the use of this genetic resource? If I need to protect something, if I'm supposed to protect something, why should I protect it? What are the usefulness of
I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you also my screen now?
Not at all. I don't know if I'm the only one that can see. Okay, I think I can see it now. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so
yes, you can see it now. Wow, beautiful.
Okay, I'm just going to continue. So the uses of genetic resources so we classified this uses into two: that's commercial use and non-commercial use. For commercial use, we said companies can use genetic resources to develop specialty enzymes, enhance genes, or small molecules. They can be used in crop protection, drug development, the protection of specialized chemicals, or industrial processing. basically, for commercial use, these genetic resources can be used for crop protection. They can be used to develop drugs, materials that will be used to create drugs, or basically specialized chemicals that can be used for other things. Then we also have here that they are also used to achieve better food security with new varieties. And under the non-commercial use, genetic resources can be used to increase knowledge of understanding of the natural world. You see, when people write their theses, or when people take research on special genetic resources, okay, maybe this specific genetic resource is not popular, or most people don't know about it, then you see them just analyzing it and taking research purposes. Those are things that would be classified under non-commercial use. And because of time, I would move further. So like it's written here, this work is usually conducted by academic and public research institutes that can contribute to taxonomy, the science of describing and naming species. The next slide, I'll move to the next slide. Protection of genetic resources under IP system. When this comes here, when you hear this, oh, how can we actually protect genetic resources under IP system? It is important to note that genetic resources are valuable for innovation, but they cannot be directly protected as they are not human creations. What we mean by like they are not human creations is that we humans are not the one that directly created them. We may be involved in analyzing them, we may be involved in knowing how they come to pass, but we are not directly involved in the creation. So they cannot be directly protected. But protection by intellectual property is crucial to prevent unauthorized access to genetic resources globally, and can be done through patents, trade secrets, copyrights, and technological protection measures. Several countries like China, Japan, India have developed domestic laws regarding the matter of protection of intellectual property rights. These relevant laws drafted to date in India include the India Biological Diversity Act and also updates to their patents law. So what is the importance of the protection of genetic resources under IP? Okay, this is when I saw this question, I was like, oh, this is actually a very great question, because if a client comes to me and is like, oh, I want to protect these genetic resources I came to know about, the first thing that will come to my head is, why should I protect it? But it's very crucial to note that genetic resources are valuable and they have the potential to provide enormous economic and environmental social benefits. So they need to be protected. It also helps to preserve biodiversity. It also helps to foster innovation, to foster economic growth, to prevent bioprivacy, to encourage food security. I feel like without food, most will not be here today. If I did eat, I will not be able to present today. So we need to protect these genetic resources in order to ensure that there is food security. Another one I would like to note is that the unauthorized use or exploitation of genetic resources can lead to unfair competition, environmental damage, and other negative consequences. And trust me, you don't want to know what the negative consequences are. And also, I would end by saying, protecting genetic resources under the intellectual property system can help ensure that the benefits of genetic resources are shared fairly and equitable among stakeholders. Just like we are two different people that come across, okay, you see this specific genetic resource. Okay, what do we do to it? If it's not protected, people can infringe on our rights and use it the way they're not supposed to use it. So I'm going to go ahead to discuss the challenges faced in protecting genetic resources under IP system. What are these challenges faced? Like, okay, I want to protect my genetic resource, but what are the challenges that we are facing? So I will start by saying one major challenge I know that I have noticed is the lack of a global legal framework. The lack of a global legal framework. Of course, we have legal frameworks in some countries, but I don't think it's everywhere, or rather, it is not everywhere. So one major challenge that we face is the lack of a global legal framework for the protection of genetic resources. And as you can see on my slides, there are other ones there. But I'm also going to note from my research work that another challenge is the difficulty of defining and demarcating the boundaries of these genetic resources. I'm going to repeat it. The difficulties of defining and demarcating the boundaries of these genetic resources. Additionally, there are other challenges related to the ownership and control of these genetic resources and the equitable sharing of benefits from their use and how to enforce the rights. So I'm going to be taking a case study. So the case of Diamond, I don't know how to pronounce this name, but Chakrabarti. Yes, the case of Diamond versus Chakrabarti. This case was a landmark decision by the US Supreme Court in 1980. This case involved a genetically engineered bacterium that was created by Ananda Chakrabarti, and she was a microbiologist. So the US Patent and Trademark Office initially denied our patent application, but the Supreme Court ruled that the bacterium was a patentable subject matter. And this case just established that living things can be patentable under US law. And this has given a significant impact on the development of biotechnology and intellectual property law. All right, I'll move to the next slide. That is meaning of plant variety. Just like the word implies, plant variety. Plant variety represents a more precisely defined group of plants selected from within a species, within a common set of characteristics. Just like the way we have green apple, we have red apple. There's this other word, I don't know what they call it, but I used to see it on trees when I was in secondary school. I think pink apple or something. They're like all varieties of apple, just like the image also shows. So how do we protect these varieties? The protection of, okay, let me read it from here. Plant varieties are an internationally recognized form of intellectual property used to protect unique plant varieties. The applications of plant varieties rights similar in principle to the IP protection offered by copyright on books and patents and on a wide range of innovative products, including biological material. The U.S. Plant Variety Protection Act of 1970 grants breeders up to 25 years of exclusive control over new, distinct, uniform, and stable plant varieties. So what are the benefits of protection of plant varieties? Okay, first, it is important to note that it encourages investment in plant breeding and research. Like we all know, I think agriculture is one of the four creation of revenue for Nigeria and most other countries. So if we protect these things, it will encourage investment in plant breeding and research, and it will also lead to development of new and improved varieties. If people come to see that these my plant varieties, they are being protected, these genetic resources are being protected, of course it will encourage more investment. I can't invest in something that I'm not sure that will be protected. I can't invest in something that I'm not sure, oh, if I invest in this thing, there's going to be profit in it, or I'm not going to get lost from it. And also, another reason why it should be protected is that it can also help to ensure that there's fair and equitable sharing of benefits from these plant resources. You see, most people, when stakeholders work with farmers, I feel like if these farmers are not aware of how they can protect their varieties that they have covered or they have seen, I don't think they will be able to. Me as a stakeholder, I will now share my benefits equally with ordinary farmers. So that's why it is necessary for these people to be aware of that. Okay, this thing can be protected, so this thing should be shared fairly. The benefits here should be shared fairly, and it also provides incentives for these farmers. It provides incentive for these farmers to adopt new and improved varieties that would help to increase agricultural productivity and improve food security. And here, it can also lead to a development of a new industry that is competitive in the foreign market. Of course, I think Nigeria will need this. We will need this improvement, because at the stage we are not right now, I don't think the miracle can happen except we think out of the box. So this case study we have the Green Revolution. So basically, Norman Borlaug was a plant scientist and an agronomist who was widely considered as the father of the Green Revolution. And the Green Revolution was a series of agricultural research and development initiatives that began in the 1940s. That's like way back. And it led to the widespread adoption of new and improved high-yielding crop varieties, along with increased use of fertilizers and other inputs. These innovations helped to dramatically increase agricultural productivity and reduce hunger and malnutrition in many parts of the world. And it is important to note that this Green Revolution definitely changed a lot in the 1940s. And I feel like this is like a field that we should actually look into. This is a field that should actually be more developed. So I'm going to discuss the connection between genetic resources and plant varieties. Why are they put together? What is the connection? So there is a close connection between both of them. Plant varieties are developed by making use of genetic resources. So you make use of genetic resources to develop your plant varieties, including incorporating specific genes or traits from other plant varieties or species. For example, a plant breeder might want to use a gene from a wild plant species to improve the yield or to resist disease of this cultivated variety. And in this way, genetic resources can also play a crucial role in the development of new and improved farm resources. And also, the connection again, they provide a wellspring of genetic diversity, enabling the development of plants with desirable traits and adaptability to changing conditions. Just like I already said, a plant breeder might want to use a gene. Okay, let's say this particular gene in this particular organism is going to make sure that this, if I had this gene in this organism, if I had it in this other organism, it's going to make sure that this one grows faster or it sprouts bigger. Do you understand? And this is very crucial. So preserving these resources ensures the conservation of heritage varieties. It ensures to keep this thing, we don't want this particular apple to go extinct. We don't want it to live like
Hello,
that.
presenter. Fantastic job, but please at this point you might need to begin to round off. Thank you.
All right. This is the last slide actually. So in conclusion, genetic resources serve as the foundation of developing new plant varieties, and their protection under intellectual property system ensures that innovators have the incentive and the legal framework to invest and advance agricultural innovation. That will be all for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed. Thank you. Are you a mentor? That was beautiful. With me. That presentation done. We're round about you. Fantastic presentation, and then your slides were so beautiful. Okay, I'm not the expert here. We have our mentors who will be demystifying TKGI's plant varieties and the rest of them further for us to know. So at this point, thank you so much to our presenters for a fantastic job. We'll be going back to our mentors who will be talking about what you've actually on your presentation, give you how good it was, what you can improve on, and all that. Then they'll give us more insight on the topic for today. I can see just one comment in the chat box. Come on, mentees. She gave a fantastic presentation. Let's go to the chat box and encourage her. Thank you. I'm seeing some good work. Now, okay, our first mentor I want to go with to open up again would be the beautiful Linikela. I hope I got that now. Okay, Linikela. Yes, I got that right now. Linikela, thank you very much, ma'am. So first, over to you. Let's get your insights on the presentations as well as more insights now on the topic for discuss today. Over to you, Linikela. Okay. Hello, ma'am. Do we still have her on the call? Linikela, ma'am, are you still here? Okay, so while we're trying to get her back, let's move on to also amazing Onyekachi. Hello, Ms. Onyekachi, are you on the call, ma'am?
Yes, I am. Please confirm I'm
Okay.
able to share my slide.
Okay, okay. Please do that.
Things. Okay. So hello, everyone. Once again, my name is Onyekachi from Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. That is Intellectual Property Office of Nigeria. So thank you for having me once again. So basically, during my intro, I talked about the division. Please confirm everybody can hear me. It's audible, right? I can see my screen.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. So based on the division of intellectual property rights that I mentioned earlier, so I want you to just digest the slide so you have a good idea of what we're talking about on personal private ownership and communal ownership of rights. On the personal rights, You see the ones you've been familiar with, copyright and related rights, industrial property, and under that, you see patents. And then currently now in the patent office, we have two new legs or aspects or arms of patent that we call utility model and business method. Utility method would last for 10 years. So I want to believe you've done all this. And then business method for 8 years. So we call them smaller patents. So you have trademark, industrial design, trade secret, plant variety, and integrated circuit, although we don't have registration for this currently in Nigeria. On the other part, you also find that we have communal ownership of rights. There you have geographical indication, which is part of what we're discussing today, genetic resources, traditional knowledge, and traditional cultural expression. However, please note, under genetic resources, you also find them under private ownership of rights. Then division of intellectual property right, part 2. So you find under industrial property, I believe this may have been mentioned, so I'm just going to flow through it. Under the commercial law department, you have the trademark, patent, and designs office. That's where you do those registration. For copyright, go to Copyright Commission. For your communal rights, however, currently now we just have just one of them protected in Nigeria, and that is our plant variety. So communal rights, like I've already said, they are owned by the people and economy. And so while we think about all those things we learned about the private ownership of rights, like who is going to exploit those rights and how would the exploited rights be distributed amongst the people. This is what we see under communal rights. So in a situation where a community owns something, take for instance, Nsukka yellow pepper. I still have a slide on that. You find out that that community, they've started harvesting. Now they know the benefits. They know it has anti-cancer properties. So they've started exporting some of their produce. And in return, such a community is also blessed with maybe good schools, good road network, hospitals. So those are some of the way communities would reap benefits, as against when it's an individual, you decide what to do with your money. All right, definition of terms. I don't want to dwell so much on this. However, just pay attention to geographical indication. You find that there are characteristics that are associated with a place of origin. Geographical indication on its own does not tell us where a good is made or where it comes from. So when you want to start defining where a good is made, then you begin to talk about indication of source or appellations of origin as stated by the Paris Convention. But geographical indication, think geography. The word geography, what comes to your mind? It's talking about the environment. It's talking about the atmosphere, the characteristics of an environment. So when you talk geographical indication, it simply means what are the characteristics found in this community that has made their particular product what it is. I go back to the Nsukka case scenario, for instance. You find that in Nsukka pepper, when you are cooking with it, anyone around would think you have goats in your pot of soup, but you don't. All you have is just the pepper. So those are some of the characteristics in Nsukka yellow pepper. So, but if you move Nsukka yellow pepper from its soil and go to maybe southwest or even any other part in the southeast, you cannot get that essential quality such as its aroma and taste. And when we go to genetic resources, you find microorganisms. I ask you a question. Recall during the COVID, we had stories like in Wuhan, in a lab in Wuhan, they had some, they lost control of some of the microorganisms that were working on, leading to the COVID and whatnot, or that COVID was just released out there. These are some of the things that happens when these genetic resources enters the hands of wrong people. Nobody knows what scientists are developing each day per time, but bear it in mind, the lot is going on in strange labs out there, and it's only God that is protecting us. So these are some of the reasons why genetic resources should be properly managed, controlled, so that they don't enter the hands of wrong persons. And basically they have to do with genes, either the genes of animals or plants and what have you. I hope you know currently, I would have done a research on this. I think I'm going to work on it. There's a state where you have a mix of pepper and tomato being grown together as one product. So that means when I want to make stew, I don't need to purchase pepper separately or purchase tomato separately, because thanks to genetic resources or plant variety, I can now cook with just one item bought from the market, and I have my pepper and I also have my tomato. That is the magic. So let's classify. I want you to unmute somebody from group 1. Talk to me about item A. What do you think? Item A is Ijebu Gari. What do you think? Where do we classify Ijebu Gari?
Group 1, come on, I love this particular one. Let's get this rolling.
I feel it's not enough to discuss this. We need to bring home our examples. I didn't see so much of that. I saw a lot of case studies, but we have beautiful case studies in Nigeria, and this is one of the
Exactly, I agree with you.
At the registry, we create awareness about what we have so that you and I can know what we are losing out on. So how do you classify Ijebu Gari? What do you think? Group 2, if you're up to it, please.
It's a product that comes from specifically from the Ijebu land.
Okay, so what can you tell me about Ijebu Gari? Have you had a taste of it?
Yes.
What's the difference between Ijebu Gari and other Gari you've had?
I don't know, I just feel like it's different, but I don't really know the special characteristics.
And somebody else continue from where he stopped. Thank you so much for that contribution. Someone else, I want to know what is special about Ijebu Gari. What do you think?
Can moderators talk?
Yes, please.
Okay, I know over time, Ijebu Gari is peculiar to its sweetness is seen as the best Gari in Nigeria. And then it's usually known to be from the Yoruba part or the western part of Nigeria. So if someone wants to say this Gari is good, it's nice, it's called Ijebu Gari. And then where is it from? Let us say from the Ijebu part or the western part of Nigeria.
Absolutely. So Ijebu Gari is from Ijebu region of Osun State. And that was where I schooled myself. So I appreciated women who were turning Gari over the pan. And then I was just admiring it. Then I'd not come across intellectual property or geographic indication. So now when I take a look back down time, I find that there was something about the way they roasted it. Do I call it roasting? The way they turned it over the pan and over the fire. It was really so nice. But having understood what geographical indication does, you find that it's actually sour. Ijebu Gari is that Gari. When you put a taste of it in your tongue, you almost feel like somebody slapped you on the face. That is the original one, not the one we see here in Abuja where I live, for instance. They're no longer the real Ijebu Gari. Have you seen a video online where it looks like Chinese people are packaging our Ijebu Gari for sale? Has somebody noticed that online? Have you seen that kind of video? Or another one is our rice or fada rice, where they dress rice just the way we dress our fada rice. You know that leaf we used to serve a fada rice, and then we use our hand to eat it. Have you seen a video like that online? Please talk to me. Has anybody seen a video like
yes,
that?
Yes,
Either the Gary?
Yes.
So what came to your mind when you did? Who's speaking, please?
Okay, I think personally for me, I had this feeling of, why are they calling our Gary theirs? It belongs to us. It's ours. It's just
How
like
can
us
you prove that?
going to
I like that point. How can you prove it belongs to us? How can you prove it? That's a question you should ponder
Let's
upon.
look at the root of ownership and those who have the knowledge of how to cover about it, basically over time.
You? Have they acknowledged they took it from you? How do we then
They would
trace
never.
the root? So those are the issues when we talk about geographic indication. If you don't protect, somebody else steals it and is using it to make money and grow their economy. And then you and I were just seated looking, doing nothing about it. That wouldn't happen in any Western world. Quote me anywhere. Moving forward, the Nsuka pepper, I've talked about the Nsuka pepper and some of its beauties. So can I have somebody else from the other group talk to me about adire, tie, and dye? How do you classify? And even the Benin pros and bronze, please. Anyone, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Precious.
Yeah, good evening. So what I know about the tie and dye, the adire, is majorly that most people that produce them are majorly from Abeokuta, that's in Ogun State. So when people want to use or when people see the adire or tie and dye, they immediately think that the only place where they can get the original is from Abeokuta or any interior western region. Because I remember there was one time that my auntie came back from London and she needed that piece of dress to pick for a particular event. She insisted that she did not want to go to major markets in, say, Ibadan, Lagos, because she feels like they will not give her the original. So she decided to go to Abeokuta to take them directly from those
Thank
people
you for
that
that
would
insight. Because of that time, I really appreciate your contribution. Now, from what you have said, can you see it's making sense? When you have, by the way, can somebody tell me the classification of a dire tie? She didn't mention that beyond what she explained. How do we classify a dire, tie, and die? Yes? Is it geographical
Traditional
indication?
knowledge.
Yes, please, traditional knowledge. This is peculiar to this group of persons from Abeokuta. So beyond them, you might not be able to get it right. It might not just be like theirs. And you know, in the 70s, it was said that Nigeria was one of the countries that had the best textile industry. Where are we today? Not to be found on record, unfortunately. These are some of the things you're talking about today. What are you doing from your angle? What am I doing? What I'm doing is creating awareness, just the same way I'm talking to you. After listening to me today and other mentors here, what will you do with the knowledge gained? Are you going to go out there to communicate to those from your local communities, to educate them? As you're here listening to me, what is that thing peculiar to your community that can be harnessed and exploited for the growth of that community? You also move to Benin Bros because of our time, so you can say this one is a way of expressing our culture, traditional cultural expression. So we move. Why are we protecting communal rights? Now, from what the contributor Precious, I believe, said, you'll find out that our aunt wanted to get the original. So when we talk about either GI, traditional knowledge, whatever it is, there's something peculiar about them. People want originality, so they want to associate with them. They want to make sure they're getting the right products. So that's why the auntie went so far. And I'm sure, irrespective of the amounts they told her, that auntie would have bought them, knowing that this is the original thing. So it gives you value. It gives you value. And whoever is buying gets value for their money. So why are we even protecting communal rights? It reduces misappropriation. I've cited the case of China, taking away our father rights, our beautiful father rights, for crying out loud. How can it be yours? Our father, our Gary, and so many other things that have been misappropriated, and it's not their fault. You know what they say about you can't give what you don't have, or when you don't know you have something, you can't enjoy it. It's like being born in a palace and you grow up thinking you're a slave. Yes, you're royalty. That is what has happened to Nigeria. Nigeria, unfortunately, has happened to the IP system. That's unfortunate. You agree with me. So protection is also evidence of ownership. That was why I asked the question to the moderator. How can you prove that Ijebu Gari belongs to us? Because it sounds strange to me. You're laying claims to ownership and you don't have proof. One of the reasons we register intellectual property is to have the certificate of registration, which is what confirms that, yes, truly, this intellectual property right belongs to Mr. A and not Mr. B. So in terms of conflict, it helps to resolve the conflict. Also, it gives access and benefit sharing for the people. And I'd mentioned that before. You have hospitals, you have good roads, and what have you in such a community so that everybody can also enjoy it. So what are the consequences of protection? It means the community reaps its benefit. But in a place where the community has something and they don't know the benefit, you find sometimes white men, they come in there, they tap those resources and then take them back. Even if it's traditional knowledge, they observe to see how your people use them. A particular traditional knowledge to cure maybe an ailment, they extract it, just like our bitter leaf. I don't know if you've seen some things online, bitter leaf capsule. They've turned into maybe a tablet or capsule. I think it's a tablet. And then they say it helps to control weight loss. Our own bitter leaf, from our own backyard, they carried it home. Haven't learned that the juice will help to take care of cure malaria. So they now went to their own labs, did further research, and now they're coming back to sell the same product to us. Exactly what is happening in our oil sector. We export to refine, and then we bring back to sell to ourselves at a rate that is inflated. What shall I do about it? And what are you doing about it? That's why we're here today. Now, the chief or an age grade could be the custodian. Remember, what belongs to a large group of people, it's difficult to say, okay, you control your control here. So usually you have maybe the chief of the community or the age group, maybe the youth and all that, control the resources. You have partnerships that could be formed whereby you can have a company from a foreign state come to say, I want to partner with you to exploit your bitter leaf. But when they take it and without our permission, they use it and they don't even credit us. That is the worst of it all. It's not enough that they use it, they steal it without our consent, they use it, at least mention us, it's our name be upgraded in the global innovation, rating that comes out yearly to say that Nigeria is producing this, Nigeria has this and that. They don't even credit us. That's the worst part of it. It's a shame. I hope you agree. The rights may be contracted to a third party to work it for the benefit of the whole community. Moving further, trying to share move the slide forward. So protection available in Nigeria, yes. So you find certification marks. We use this to protect, I noticed this on one of the slides, so kudos. We use certification marks to protect geographical indication, but is this enough? Now, if you look at section 43, basically talks about ownership by an individual, which means the current act cedes the right in a communal intellectual property to a person. That means I can get up, go to the trademark registry and take up registration, say for Nsuka Pepe, if not that the community has opened eyes to now know that it is for us. So one person can't register it. What happens when one person takes up registration of a communal property? It simply means that person owns it and can use it and block all of us. And that can give rise to a case of infringement. But he has proof he registered first. And the trademark will always protect who came to register first in the registry, as against who is claiming ownership. These are some of the reasons why our communities should be educated. Now note, a certification mark does not certify that a good is from a particular origin. No. Rather, just like collective mark, it is used to certify, especially certification mark, to certify quality and standard at best. Now think about NAFDAC. Think about SON. When they certify maybe electrical appliances, you go to the market, you look through to see your NAFDAC number before you can buy a product. That is exactly what certification marks are meant to do. This is why we are proposing a sui generis law to cater for some of these communal intellectual property rights. Now, on the other side of my slide, you find genetic resources. The example of the one protected in Nigeria currently, as against what is also written in one of the slides. It says that plants are protected by the Plant Variety Protection Act. So during the COVID that we're all indoors, deliberations were ongoing on this act, and it's called Plant Variety Protection Act of 2021. It is under the National Agricultural Seeds Council. It's not under the trademark or the patent registry or even copyright. Now, the National Agricultural Seed Council is under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. So they are the ones that take care of this. Now, imagine all the mutations involved, incubation of all manner of genes and all that. So you can't just have it where people don't have knowledge to cater for these genes, because if they should escape the lab, while I will bust on the road, because maybe something will just fly on your skin and then you start growing leaves on your cheek or something like that. So they need to be incubated in a place where it's safe and they're experts to manage them. Hence why it's under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture as against trademark registry. Now, criteria for plant variety, it must be new, it must be distinct, it must be uniform and stable. New means in Nigeria the last 1 year. Nobody has seen such in the market. It hasn't been sold in the market. Nobody has seen it. Nobody has heard about it. Or that's in a foreign country for the last 4 years, such hasn't been seen. Or there is a tree or a vine and it is 6 years. That's the condition to certify that indeed it is new. It has to be distinct. Recall the example I said about the pepper and the tomato. Have you heard of that before? Have you seen it before? You see, it's totally distinct. And then they expect it to be uniform. Not that you grow it in a particular place, it is small. And then you move to another location, it is large. So you're able to confirm that wherever you grow this, under whatever condition, you still have the same products, looking pepper and tomato on the other side of it. And then it has to be stable. Not that when you grow it today, it grows, next time it's not growing. Excuses like that. So its duration is for 20 years, just like your patent, except for trees and vines. Trees and vines, they take time to grow. So those ones, they get 25 years. However, they can also get a 5-year extension. If before the lapse of your registration, you go to the registrar to say, I need an extension. So that's provided under the section 32 of that act. So like I had mentioned before, for TK, TCE, and GI, there are deliberations to have a sui generis law, and we hope someday it will come to the light of day. So that'll be that from me. Thank you so much for listening. It's a pleasure being here once again. I hope you learned something.
Okay, so I'm speechless because that was effortlessly done. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mentees, take to the chat box and just tell our mentor how a great job she handled that. Oh my God, TK could be this interesting. Amazing. Okay, without wasting much time, the momentum is still high. I want to move on to our next mentor to also speak on this. The insight tonight is amazing. Mentees, thank you as well. I can see your engagement. Okay, on to Linekela for her in-depth knowledge on today's discourse. Over to you, ma'am. Okay, I think she might still have issues with her mic. While she gets that resolved as well. Hello, Sand. Good day, sir. Can we come over to you, please? Is he with us? Let me quickly check. Okay, I think we lost Sand along the way. Let's see if Linekala can come back on to give us a more in-depth knowledge on topic as well. Yeah, I agree with you. That presentation was so generous. Like, it was simply amazing. It was fantastic. Whoa, it's been a while I enjoyed a lecture on TK this much. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was beautifully done. Okay, while we still get into hear from our other mentors. Yes, ma'am, someone is asking, can we get your slides, please? Will you do us the honor of sharing the slides with us? Really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, yes, please engage on LinkedIn. Do not forget, follow our mentors on LinkedIn. Ensure that you're, I love that part about them. If you come to them and you tell them, hey, hi, I'm from JIIPCC, they would always reply. So after now, I'm sure going to follow her, and this was nicely done. So we'll quickly take some questions. Please, if you have live questions, sure, we have live questions because a lot of questions came into my mind over this. For example, I want to know, how can we protect our precious Ijebu Gari? We need to know because I want to start packaging Ijebu Gari by next week. So let's know how to do that. Okay, I'll quickly post some questions from the mentees that were sent to us earlier. Okay, ma'am. Do we still have Ma'am Oyekachi on the call? Okay, I think I can still see her. Hello, mentors. Can you still hear me?
I'm with you.
Okay, so thank you. I think you're the only mentor who can speak at the moment. I think our mentor Linekala has some issues with the microphone. Our mentor Sand is unavoidably absent as well. So I'll quickly start off with the questions from the mentees. Hopefully, our other mentors will come on board. But again, ma, thank you for a fantastic presentation. I'm still in awe by that phenomenal presentation. Okay, so I'll quickly read the questions we have here. So the first question reads, if a person uses a traditional song or folklore in his song, which is so old that one cannot actually trace its author rather, can he claim ownership over such songs? If not, who can collect royalties over such song, or how is it protected?
Okay, so this takes us to an aspect of intellectual property called copyright. And then under copyright, we have what we call anonymous work or pseudo work. Anonymous work would be work done by persons like Lagbaja. I believe that's not his real name. So assuming back in the days when he started off, when nobody knew his real identity, and then you hear the song say Lagbaja, and then you want to use the song, how do you get him to pay him royalty? So that is what we have under anonymous work. So it's said that there are books that have been written over the years and no one can trace its author. So in a situation like that, how do you make use of the book, and then who do you pay? So most of the time, for some who are registered under a collective society, or that have a group where they're already registered or someone registered them, they may take the benefit. Otherwise, you get to use it. But as soon as this person notifies you, I'm the owner, you're expected to start crediting the person and also paying royalty. On the other hand, those pseudo work would be work that were done maybe long in the days and nobody can say the origin of that work. However, when we talk about folklore or folk songs and stuff like that, we find that they originate with us. Like me now, I'm from the eastern part of the country. Some of us are from the western part. Remember things like Tente, Tente, maybe we are watching a Yoruba movie and then we see that part where kids are playing Tente, Tente and stuff like that. Nobody can lay ownership to that because nobody can even trace its real source. What part of Yoruba land did you originate from? So it's okay to see such parts or lines or songs in movies, and then it's okay to use. And then you get to take credit for it. Because for copyright to even exist, what it means is that for originality to suffice, I could use a part of your song to create my own song. So if it's a folk song that's been way back, then I don't have to credit anyone if I can't even trace its origin. More so, copyright would normally last for maybe 50 years, and sometimes Nigeria, I think, is still about 70 years. So what it means, such songs would have lapsed. And what it means is they're now in the public domain. So you can absolutely use them without crediting no one. So in a situation where I want to use a song like that, originality in copyright simply says, I can sing that particular song in my own voice and, give a tweet to it. Instead of maybe 10, 10, 10, I say 10, 10, 10, 10. I have changed something about it. However, if the owner is known, is still alive, and the timing hasn't lapsed, then I'm expected to credit that person. Thank you. I hope that helps.
Yes, 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 indeed, indeed. So I want to ask Google Network, can we all hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to, please, ma'am, I want to ask a follow-up question on this particular song issue. For example, of recent, a Nigerian artist, I think that was, oh my God, is that a star? So this song she did recently that has a Makosa infusion.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the song basically, but I think people here into Afro music would remember the song she did recently that has like it was not just a snippet of a song, a huge amount of and a Makosa song was used in that particular music. Although till now I'm not hearing any court case on that, it was still the same rhythm, the same music, the same style, basically. So could we say that she probably got all these let's say rights paid for, bought or permitted or licensed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's a song, is it Israel? He no say. You know that song? During the COVID, it was a support to so many of us being locked down in a situation we didn't know when we were going to come out from it. So it was something families could relate to. and sing in their own space. And then people started that challenge on Facebook, on different social networks. But,
TikTok.
Yes, the owners of the song later came out and they could lay claim to their song because they were not even the ones that made the song popular. It was a group of guys, I believe, from Kenya who decided to do a song with it, carrying a pot and spoon. And that was how we got to know about this song.
Yes.
That. So they didn't get rights to use. So it became an issue. So such situation, when you don't hear anything, it's likely they got a license to use. Otherwise, when the song becomes popular, that means it's now selling hot wire. All these guys are in real money, entertainment industry, the kind of money they make. So the person will definitely come out and come after you. So if you're not hearing anything in this circumstance, just be rest assured that royalties must have been paid. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This just taking my mind also to, I think World Cup when Shakira did the Waka Waka Eastern for African song, and then I think a group came out later to say the song belonged to them. And it was a traditional song from their own end.
Yes, I heard about that.
Timothy, I could see your hand.
Yeah. And I think they did settle there was kind of an out of court settlement. But up to today, like what I was saying, they use what belongs to us. They still don't credit us. Despite that, we've not been credited, or this part of Africa that lays ownership to that song or the artist. To today, they've not been credited. But I understand there was settlement behind closed doors.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, before we take the next question in the chat box, I can see Timothy Wisdom. His hands have been up. Hello, Timothy. You have a question for our mentor this evening. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good evening. Thank you so much for the lecture. Before you go, I wanted to ask this. Since we're already on traditional and cultural rights, I want to ask this. There was a time, so I think Disney they wanted to make a movie out of Moremi's history and everything, just like they did for Mulan. That was how the story was portrayed, or not how the story was received by me.
Can you be more audible, please? I'm struggling to hear you.
Okay, I said there was a time I got an information that Disney wanted to make a story. Yes, we wanted to make a movie out of the Moremi's history and storyline of the Western people, and how they did for Mulan. Like something like they wanted to make something like how they did for Mulan, something like that. Then I heard that when they went to go and seek permission from something like the Oba of I forgot what they usually call it, but I think something like the Oba or the king of the place. I think he rejected the offer. But now I've been noticing this trend for a while now. I think is since we have this culture, and since we have this because it's that we protect them indirectly, or they are being stolen from us. Like for example, I was heard something about a South African musician. I'll be someone saying that Yoruba is Yoruba is a South African name and not a Nigerian name. So I was saying that since the Disney was already offering through their movies, our own culture can be protected. And I was not really seeing reason why the Yoruba king would reject the offer. So my question is this: are there possible ways to preserve our culture or our rights, that's our cultural rights through movies? And if there is, could there be any possible reason why the Yoruba king rejected the offer? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I want to begin with the later part. Is there a reason the offer was rejected? Well, it's possible the narrative they're trying to present is going to be offensive. Imagine a movie that is not censored. Like before a movie is put out there, you're supposed to go through what is called script clearance. So imagine I take a script and I read through it because maybe they have shown the king the script, and then he sees things that are offensive about his client. What do you think? Are you going to approve of the movie to go ahead? I'll perhaps negotiate to take away some lines or edit some parts so that they don't paint us bad. Don't forget some of these Western world people. They like to portray us as monkeys, as less of humans. So you never can tell there might be that undertone. Second, it's possible this king is ignorant and there are no people around him to educate him on the benefits it can generate from such a collaboration. That could also be a factor. Thirdly, it could be that there is like a rancor, whatever that situation is, or maybe the story, maybe, you know, it's not so straightforward, or it's something maybe based on their law, they've decided not to let other people hear about it or know about the story. It could be that. It could be a sacrilege they do in that community. So until we know the full details, we can't exactly tell why this Oba said no. Don't forget, Obas are meant to protect the integrity of their people and their heritage. That's on the one part. Number two, while we were talking, I remembered something that I am here to mention. So thank you for that question. Now, let me take you back to geographical indication. Now, geographical indication helps to say, okay, like for example, you have Champagne, you know, there's a place called Champagne. You have Swiss wristwatch, because it's not necessarily only agricultural products. Geographical indication is also used to protect services, like wristwatch, for instance, is a product. However, the people from this particular area, they have this expertise that helps them to craft and, you know, produce what we call Swiss wristwatches today. So, but do you know it is possible to have the name of maybe Champagne, for instance, exist in another location? Like if you go on the internet, you can type in a random name belonging to a place in your town, and you'll be shocked to find out that somewhere in Ghana has the same name belonging to another community that is not related to yours. Now, going back to geographical indication, imagine it is Ijebu Gari, and then Ijebu people are called Ijebu, and because of that, they've named their Gari Ijebu Gari, because of its special elements that is gotten from the environment. However, on the other part, there's a place in Ghana that is called Ijebu, and they also have Gari. Don't forget, Ghana is our neighbor, so they also have cassava. However, their Gari does not have the kind of taste our own Ijebu Gari has, and they are willing to also go to the market and fight it out with us. How do you manage this kind of a situation? Can you stop them from using their name? So depending on the circumstance, like if they've been using the name before you came on board to register and start using yours, then there's nothing you can do about it. However, at best, you can, through indication of source, make a claim or say, okay, don't export these goods into Nigeria. And then it's a form of unfair competition too, when you portray your goods as coming from Ijebu in Nigeria, and then people trust it, and they're looking forward to enjoying delicious Gari with cold water, granules, and you know, all that. Suddenly they mix up your own Ijebu claimed Gari, and it's something else, and it looks like the one they made with hot water. You know what it is? When you do that, it's a sign of unfair competition. You're also infringing on the real ownership of that right, because we make people not to trust the brand again. It's all about branding, whether it's geographic indication, trademark, patents, it's all about people's brand. However, also under geographical indication, it is possible to have along the borderline. I don't want to call places now. For instance, Cameroon and Nigeria, we share border, for instance. Imagine there's a product that grows on that particular borderline. How do we say essentially the benefits to this product is just coming from your own side of the country or the community, and is not coming from the side of Nigeria and her community? So sometimes you can find two states across the border begin to coexist to enjoy those rights. So it is possible. So thank you for that question. It helped me to remember this essential part. I think it's important for this class. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Before we take more questions, I think we should quickly do this. Let's quickly have our picture time, please. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly turn on your cameras and let's just do a quick picture time. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, please turn on your cameras and let's quickly have a picture time. Thank you. Indeed, Favor, indeed, like there's a whole lot. After now, I'm going on LinkedIn. I am so going to follow. It's really amazing. Thank you so much, JIIPCC. This is what we always look for. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. You've been spilling out so much wisdom tonight or this evening. Thank you. Okay, so picture time is going on. Ooh, amazing faces this evening. Yes, fix the hair. Exactly the smile I was waiting for. Okay, so let's smile. More people are coming in. Oh, the men are now joining in. Fantastic. They were hiding their faces like traditional knowledge. Now bring it outside. Let's see. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. Oh, Linekela is back. Welcome.
It had been taken.
Okay, okay, thank you. Is your mic okay now, ma'am? Is your mic okay? So we can also hear from you. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry. And she's so beautiful as well. Our mentors are beautiful. Gypsy, brilliant and beautiful. Amazing job. Amazing. Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we'll move on to the next question we have here. It says, though today's class should not end at all. Okay, the next question reads, okay, is it possible to obtain plant variety protection on the basis of its DNA instead of its characteristics? I
Okay.
think you explained this earlier.
Yes,
Probably
I
could throw
think
more
I
light.
did. Yes. So when we talk about um, the plant variety, for instance, please understand that is a genetic modification that births the variety we have in plants or the variety we have in animals. So I'd use the example of the pepper and the tomato. It's about taking the cell of the pepper and that of tomato, incubates them together at a place. And that is how such things are now bettered. So without the genetic modification, how can you then have plant variety? So I think the question is basically saying the same thing in two different ways. So I don't know, but I want to assume both of them, genetic and modification, plant variety. So it's like saying 1 + 1 is equals to 2. Genetic, they're just the same. It's like saying husband and wife and stuff like that, but just saying in a different way. So I hope that helps, because genetic modification of plants involves adding a specific stretch of DNA into the gene, giving it a new different characteristics. So when you talk about the characteristics, without the putting together of the different gene in a particular plant or product, you can't have those characteristics that you're now looking out for. So this includes changing the way the plant would grow or make it resistant to a particular disease. Also, people have also used genetic resources to modify organisms that help plants to grow faster and germinate. Take, for instance, your potato. Maybe at the point of germination, might just at best have maybe like 2 tubers attached together, but maybe with some sort of plant genetics and modifications in the soil, you might not grow the same set of potato on a particular soil where you have introduced this organism, and then find out that from just a tuber, you're able to produce maybe hundreds of tuber tied together. So that is the power of genetic resources. So it has helped multiply food, and it has improved food security across Africa and the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the next question reads, mentees, do not forget, if you have live questions, come on, feel free. Today's class, let everything out. Okay, next question reads, how will we be able to tell if a plant variety is already protected?
All right. So because, like I mentioned, I think that question came in before my presentation. But after my presentation, I believe you can already take a clue from it. There is what we call seed organization or seed department in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. But as a result of the Plant Variety Protection Act, they now have an agency carved out to manage the act itself. So what happens, for instance, with the trademark registrations, the patent registration, When you take up registration and you're issued with a certificate, it means your information is on record, either the name of this plant and the ownership of the plants. Those are the information you find in the registry. So like I'm very familiar with in the office, so you find out we have a big book called the Register of Patents. So if you read through the Trademarks Act, you see a couple of places where it's mentioned that the registrar is going to course the publication of the marks and then register them in a register called the Register of Trademarks. You find the same with the patenting sector or registry, where the registrar of patents is expected to register the information in that big book called Patent Register. Now, so what happens when there's a conflict of interest? And you also find this information in good circumstances. Let's take copyright, for instance, a commission, they're able to do better than we are doing. So you find this information perhaps online. Maybe they have a way to give access so you can search to know who has registered what, just like the CAC. Hope you know the CAC, Copyright Commission. All of these organizations were together under Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, which is my office, before they were removed from the department. So it used to be registry of company registry. That's the CAC you know today. So now they have a better system. They have enough money. So they're able to improve on what they are doing to be a state-of-art thing. But unfortunately, we are still under a ministry, and that has impaired on our growth. Otherwise, you should find such information online. For those of you doing company registration, when you search, you're able to tell this name has been registered. So the same thing ideally should happen. So I believe they also have that records there. Maybe you can pay to do status search, like there's what we call status search. We want to know the status of a particular registration of a mark in the office. So it gives us the history, such as when it was registered, who registered it. So you pay government to get such an information. So if it is registered, then the registry that is taking care of plant variety definitely should know about it. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So the final question here reads thus: what does human genetic resources mean, and can it be protected?
All right, for there are countries already eating human flesh officially, sold in stores. People can now cook with them. So when you talk about genetic human resources, take for instance your blood, your saliva. So someone can take a part of your blood, and it's already happening, especially through maybe IVF. Imagine an IVF procedure. I'm sure you know what that is. For couples who don't have children and they've been trying, maybe the woman's womb is, or the man's sperm isn't strong enough to produce a child naturally. So they incubate the sperm from the man, they collect some, incubate it, and they inject it to the woman's egg, and then incubate both of them for a while. And then when you see there's life in it, they then transplant it into the woman's stomach or womb, and then the baby is birthed. So it's exactly when we talk about human genetics. So it could be me, for instance, taking a part of maybe cell that helps hair to grow. And then because I'm Nigerian, I don't have long hair, for instance, I can decide to go and take a white man's long hair, take the gene from his body, transplant it, and then do that IVF. So through IVF processes, you might see couple give birth to a child, though they are Nigerians or, and they're not known to have those long hairs. So they can modify the characteristics that babies will be born with. So you can see such a baby have very long hair or have nice dentistry and stuff like that to show that, I know you will baby be this one. How come papa and mama be like this? Do you understand? So that's what human genetics can do. So in Nigeria, it is a no. Abroad, absolutely yes. Especially in places like the US, China, the UK, they already have such registrations allowed under their patents law, but not here in Nigeria. Thank you.
Whoa, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. I think for want of time, this is how the best we can go. I really wish our other mentors were also online. I know Nicola is also online, but having some issues. with her mic at the moment. Sand also had to step out. Mentees, yes, she said that before about her slide. Just engage on LinkedIn for sure. Okay, easily get that there. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. So, in a few minutes, do you have any final words for our mentees today? Give your final closing statements, please. Thank you.
Yes, I do. Opportunities like this, I don't let them slide away. One, I've been creating awareness over the years, not necessarily intellectual property. And then after the time I joined the IP office of Nigeria and understood what IP is all about, because I didn't do this as an undergraduate, though I'm a lawyer, I find that IP is very interesting. And I've been exposed to other clients, what they do. And sometimes I weep for my country. So coming back with my awareness creation, I feel if I can share this knowledge from the office point of view, because I always tell people that create awareness or people that call people to come and do IP talks, I don't bring someone from the state office. And of course, I mean, people who know what they're talking about, because you know how civil services, it's not everybody that is improving and stuff like that on themselves, or that feel there's a need to improve on their knowledge. But it's important for us to share what we know. Sometimes we collaborate with other countries to see what they are doing. And even though we can't change this law overnight, we don't have control over some things, or our law or the way our country is, the leadership is composed, we are not being heard as at when due, to know that IP is an essential part of the economy and they should do something urgently about it. What can we then do? Through awareness creation. If you can know your rights, protect your rights, would you be able to tell your neighbor to also know what their rights are and protect them? I remember one day I saw my secondary schoolmate online, Shedams, you can check him out. He's into all this exercise and stuff like that. He has reality shows on television. And then I called him out. I said, Shay, this thing you're doing, you need to protect it all before somebody will steal your name. And he calls it Shedams. Believe you me, even after registering for him, he refused to come and do his certificate, which is what guarantees your right is registered. If you stop at acceptance and acknowledgement, the rights under common law. So Sheyi calls me like a few months ago from the US to tell me, Kachi, somebody is using my name in Abuja, Abuja backyard here for that matter. What do? I still don't have my certificate. And I've instructed my lawyers to go after this guy. And I told him, although you don't have certificate, your time of registration would still help. So these are some of the reasons. If you know what you know today, how many people are you going to reach out to online? How many of your classmates are you going to tell? Ogbeni Oriton call you, show me Nisha. You understand? You can talk to a neighbor colleague of yours or classmates, or tell that you know that their mom is into arts and crafts or something, and tell them, it's a lot of money. Just help mommy improve on her designs and let's package it for her and put it in the market. If you do this, you're helping to grow the economy of Nigeria. You're helping to change the narrative in Nigeria. People think Nigeria is just that country, that African country. Nothing good is coming out from here. Well, we have beautiful designs. We have beautiful traditional cultural expression. If they are not beautiful, why did they steal some of our marks away, such as the Benin Bros and so many other artwork our forefathers left for us? Why did they steal them and hid them in their own museum, and then they're not showing to their children? Why did they do that to us? If our knowledge is not important, if our culture is not important, and do you know, we are blessed, we're a blessed nation. And I say this with every form of audacity. Nigeria, for instance, is multidimensional. Different cultures, different languages, those are things we can come together and exploit as a people in Nigeria. Imagine if we have a government or an IP minister tomorrow who then says from every region, I want to see nothing less than maybe hundreds of intellectual property rights, whether communal or personal. Do you know in places like China, the government pays states, communities to compete. And then any community or family that is able to pretend something, there's a reward for it. Do you know? Even children are also struggling to make their own patents and get patents in China. Do you know common prisoner is also a ground for releasing them from prison? Give us a patent and we release you. And this is also one of the reasons why you see almost nothing coming from places from China. And they are pushed down to the Patent Registry of Nigeria. And yes, out of ignorance, we register. I wouldn't say ignorance, but the ignorance of our law, if I must say. Our laws are archaic. They were designed to humiliate us. They were designed for us just to be a depository and not to really be a registrable organization. I'm sure you know, in the patent registry, for instance, we don't do search as to substance. We just do formality search, which means we just go through your documents and say, oh, you paid the fees, your name is written, you've listed the names of the inventors, because under patent you have status, you have two types of inventor, the real inventor and the statutory inventor. While the real inventor is the main person that put his head and hands to work to develop that patent or that innovation. Why the statutory inventor is the person that takes a work to the registry of patents to say, Madam Registrar, I want to document this registration. So we have two types. And then the ownership in that situation lies with the person who has registered it with the office, which can be an organization or an individual. So these are some of the situations why you and I need to stand up for our rights. It is our own. We have a lot of things. Our culture is multidimensional. If we decide to go into the movie industry, of which, you know, our movie industry is making a lot of money and putting a lot of markets out there, there are a lot of things we can search from history and put together and still make a movie out of it. Write books and publish some art crafts that our forefathers left way behind. In some families, do you know they have some traditional knowledge that is just peculiar to them? For instance, when I went for my master's in intellectual property in Zimbabwe, I was talking to my driver. I'd called to check on his family, and he told me he just went to play football and one of his colleagues broke his knee. And so they took him to a medicine man in their locality here in Abuja. And then the man told them to go and buy a fowl, chicken. And they did. And this man broke the knee of the chicken. Another time he was breaking its knee, and then he put sticks to reset and tie it together. As he was operating on the chicken itself, the knee, the man who had the injury was screaming on top of his voice, help, help, help. By reason of that traditional knowledge this man applied, he knew how to break the chicken leg and transfer the pain from the man's leg into the chicken so that the man could get up and go home on his toes, on his feet. So these are some of the things we have. So families are blessed with this. I have a colleague in the office, not exactly a colleague, she's an agent. I was suffering for, hand injury, my hands were hurting. And I just mentioned it to her. She held my hand and twisted it. And I was hearing sound like crack, 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 crack. Before I knew it, I was fine. And she told me, it's in the family. We know how to set bones, to massage and whatnot. These are traditional knowledge. When are we going to start exploiting them to put food on the table, to grow our economy, to change our economy? Don't be amongst those complaining. Nigeria is bad. Mofe Japa. Because as you see me here, now here we do. I don't go anywhere. And my country be this. And I'm here to make things happen. I'm here to change the narrative. The question is, will you after this class? Thank you to the platform, JIIPCC. I appreciate you guys. Juliana, Imam, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Thank you for having me once again. Bye.
Whoa. Whoa, thank you so much. Thank you. The words have pierced my heart so deep. I think I need to go to my family to find out what traditional knowledge do we have. It's time to protect them. Thank you. Amazing job. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think I'll keep on saying thank you. Thank you to our wonderful mentor for those words. They were really encouraging. They were everything. Thank you so much. Thank you also to Nekala, who is also on a call, but due to some technical issues, could not come back on. Thank you also to Mentor Sand, who had to leave early. Thank you to Mr. Dennis, who was with us throughout the call. Thank you so much, sir. Also to our mentees, I've really enjoyed your energy today. It's been off the charts. Thank you so much for being with us throughout. This is much you can take on today's session on digital property. Please do not forget, take to LinkedIn, take to Instagram, look for our mentors, follow them, comment on their post, let them know. You can DM them, let them know you are coming from here. Post about this session. It's really been an eye-opener. It's an eye-opener. I want to go back on YouTube, brother, to watch this session all over again. Have a fantastic weekend, ladies and gentlemen, until our next session. My name is Guslav Kamalani. It's been an honor being your moderator for today. Have a wonderful evening and bye-bye.